Everybody, another random comics book review. This one's going to be Homegrown Funnies by R Crumb. So, let's dig into it here. The physical thing that I have in my hand, this little physical thing is from 1997, I believe. It's probably like something the 19th printing or whatever, but the original comic came out in 1971. You've got some interesting stuff here. This version is Kitchen Sink Comics, made in the People's Republic of America, adults only. A member of the Cartoon Workers of America. I don't know a lot about this, but I believe there was this loose talk among underground cartoonists about possibly starting a union thing to get, better royalties and things like that, which is interesting. Figures the early 70s. You also kind of had inklings of that happening in the mainstream comics community with like Neil Adams and things like that. Talking about things like creators' rights and benefits and stuff like that. So I think that's kind of interesting. I'm not too sure what happened with this. My understanding is not enough people could get together and figure out exactly what they want, exactly what they should get, and what they should expect. Being, on the one hand, comic book people, on the other hand, counterculture hippie comic book people, you know what I mean? So there's that. So you have here on the cover the Snoid Kilroy, who's not in this comic, Angel Food McSpade. This is Angel McFood, but the character is Angel Food McSpade. Wait. Oh, Angel Food McDevil's Food is how she's referred to on the inside. We'll talk about that in a second. And then Mary Jane. Regarding this character, I was actually thinking about doing a video, talking about, race and diversity and blah, blah, blah in comics, whatever the next one I ever do, and kind of talking about, this character. It's actually pretty much a caricature. Yeah, it's a racial caricature. There's no getting around to that. Robert Crumb has pretty much admitted that some of the stuff that he did back in the 60s and early 70s was racially insensitive. He's really admitted a lot of stuff that he did. It's been sexist and chauvinistic, and he's pretty much said, and it's pretty interesting because he basically copped to it. He basically says, yeah, we're just being crazy and outrageous, and there was nobody telling us, no, don't make fun of blacks, don't make fun of Catholics. So he's talking about him and his peers, not whoever I think of. S. Clay Wilson, that's what I'm going to think of. S. Clay Wilson had some crazy, over-the-top, outrageous stuff, and that encouraged him to get more crazy and outrageous and over-the-top. He admits that when he was a younger person, he had actually really negative attitudes towards women and so on and so forth. So, and I'll just say this, speaking for myself, I'm actually glad that even though I kind of knew, I was aware of Robert Crumb, I hadn't read a whole lot of his stuff up until the late 80s and early 90s. And then I had read, interviews with him where he kind of, talks about things and kind of put things in perspective. And then I saw his 80s stuff from Weirdo magazine, and then I went backwards and read his 60s stuff. And like I said, I'm glad I did it that way, because otherwise, had I seen some of the stuff he had done in his 60s, I would have been really turned off immediately. But yeah, there's that. that's that. He's done some other stuff that's meant to be satire, but I'm not sure that everybody would take it that way. And some people will say, yeah, it's satire, but it's still offensive anyway. But getting back to this, as much of it as I can show, back to the sexism. You've got this first story here, which is written as a tribute, as a guy talking about his girlfriend / wife. And basically, he's obviously in love with this person, but it does end on a really chauvinistic note. You know what I mean? I'm not going to show you that picture because I don't want to get in trouble with YouTube. And then we also get the Angel Food McSpade story. Which I'm not going to show you any of. But again, lots of crude humor. You have this kind of Aunt Jemima type character, and she's basically the butt of, the joke and whatnot. It might be a humorous, loving joke, but still, it's not anything that's going to endear you to, black women or black people in general or whatever. Like I said, I don't think it's hateful stuff, but it's not cool, R Crumb, but that's fine, whatever. Anyway, the main story is this story. White man meets Bigfoot. And I remember reading somewhere with the original White Man story that R Crumb was originally kind of a satire of his dad, and the idea of his dad thought of himself as this real square-jawed, middle-class, suburban, straight-arrow character who really thought of himself as one of the people that is holding society together. And in this particular story here, we have white man taking his family on a camping trip, and then he gets kidnapped by a tribe of Bigfoot creatures. They don't hurt him. They actually sort of try to make him part of their tribe. And at first, he tries to run away, but one of the female Bigfoot creatures kind of takes a liking to him and tries to bond with him. Let's see here. Let's be careful. So yeah, there. He won't show you that picture, but he ends up making love with the creature and actually falls in love with the female Bigfoot. He starts missing civilization a little bit. He talks about going home. And just then, some hunters or some guys who are camping end up in the area, and he's like, hey, it's good to see other people. But when they see the Bigfoot, they knock her out. They take dude back to the city. and he's just a little bit confused and bedazzled by the whole situation. Oh, here's a funny thing. Schwartz loses the case. Why bother? That was kind of a running gag that you would see in some R Crumb comics. Ruth Schwartz says, why bother? Anyway, he goes back home. He's very depressed. Finds out something's going on with the Bigfoot. He goes in and says, you reunite me with my mate or else. Of course, they take him to where female Bigfoot is. And they, I won't show you that panel, rebond. And they try to escape. He disguises her. And his first plan is to get her into the family's Winnebago and drive off. But it doesn't work that way easily because she's so big she can't fit in. And then his wife is like, what's going on here? And he's all humana, humana, humana. Then female Bigfoot scoops him up and runs off, and they go back to the woods, and they live happily ever after. And the last issue, or the last page, or the back cover I should say, is desperate character rides again. We have this character who's all sort of strung out about all the crazy things that are going on in society, all the pollution and strife and whatnot. So that's it. It's pretty interesting comic. You can pretty much see how, like I said, this white man character started off as a spoof of R Crumb's dad, but it's not hard to see how in this story a lot of R Crumb's own anxieties have worked into the character. It's the early 70s. He's been having problems with his first wife. There's that whole sort of burnout, 60s burnout that kind of morphed into a lot of 70s depression is in this story, and the whole sort of back to nature, back to land thing that a lot of hippies were trying to do at that time. So, okay. Anyway, I guess that's it. Thanks for watching. You guys have a good day. Oh, what I was trying to say is you can kind of see how it's very much a product of its time, made by a product of its generation. It's very much post Summer of Love, post Woodstock, then post Charlie Manson, post Altamont, all that sort of optimism. This is complete optimism of the 60s hasn't completely died, but now the counterculture is trying to figure out how to grow up and how to put some of those ideas into motion, and that whole sort of back to the land, back to the nature thing was a path that some of those people took. And I think this comic is kind of a reflection of that. I guess that's what I was trying to say. There you go.